Classical economics. Let's kick things off with the OG of economic thinking, Adam Smith, a Scottish philosopher from the 1700s who basically invented capitalism before it was cool. His 1776 book, The Wealth of Nations, laid the foundation for modern economics. And no, he didn't wear AirPods, but he was definitely ahead of his time. Smith believed that markets could basically raise themselves, like responsible teenagers who somehow do their homework, clean their rooms, and start a Fortune 500 company on the side. Imagine you're at a marketplace. You're hunting for a good deal on apples. The farmer wants to sell you apples, not because he loves you, but because he loves profit. That's the magic. By looking out for himself, he ends up helping you too. That's what Smith called the invisible hand. People acting in their own self-interest accidentally benefit society. It's like everyone chasing their own goals, but somehow creating order. He argued that competition keeps businesses honest. If one guy tries to scam you, someone else will offer a better deal. The market sorts itself out. No central planner needed, just a bunch of people making selfish, but strangely helpful choices. For example, think about online shopping. If a store sucks, you just click to another one. No drama, just competition doing its thing. That's Smith's invisible hand, swiping through deals like it's on Tinder. But here's the kicker. Smith assumed that people are mostly rational and informed, which is optimistic. Still, his theory revolutionized how we think about free markets, and his ideas still echo in everything from your Amazon cart to your economics class. Keynesian Economics, John Maynard Keynes. While classical economics is all about letting the market do its thing, what happens when the market stops doing its thing? Enter Keynesian Economics, a more hands-on approach for when the economy breaks down and cries for help, like the Great Depression. Imagine people stop spending money because they're worried about losing their jobs. In response, businesses panic, cut costs, and lay off workers. Those newly unemployed people now spend even less, which causes more businesses to struggle. And just like that, you've got a full-blown downward spiral, an economic nosedive straight into the depths of recession hell. Here's where John Maynard Keynes steps in with a mic drop. He basically says, forget the whole invisible hand thing. If the economy's on life support, the government needs to suit up, grab the defibrillator, and shock it back to life. Think of the government like a DJ at a dead party. They've got to drop a banger to get people dancing again. That banger could be government spending on roads, hospitals, and schools. It could be tax cuts to give people more money to spend. It could even be a stimulus check with your name on it. But wait, how does more people spending actually fix anything? Well, John Maynard Keynes believed it creates an upward spiral. Say you buy a coffee. That cafe earns money and pays its baristas. The baristas go buy groceries. The grocery store restocks, hires more workers, and the cycle continues. Boom! Your overpriced latte just became a tiny hero of economic recovery. Spending fuels demand. Demand fuels production. Production fuels jobs. Jobs fuel more spending. It's like economic dominoes, just the happy kind. Keynes' ideas became a big deal during the Great Depression, when the U.S. government poured money into infrastructure and job programs. It helped stop the bleeding and gave people a reason to stop crying into their soup bowls. Of course, not everyone's a fan. Critics argue that too much government spending racks up massive debt. Think of it like if you borrowed a lot of money to buy stuff at a party. Sure, the party is fun, but now you owe a ton of money. And suddenly, that disco ball isn't worth it. Marxism, created by Karl Marx during the mid-19th century. While Keynes said the government should step in to save the economy when things spiral. But what if the problem isn't just the spiral? What if the entire system is rigged from the start? Let's say you work at a factory making sneakers. Each pair sells for $100. You help produce 20 pairs a day. That's $2,000 worth of value walking out the door because of your labor. But your daily wage? Maybe $100 if you're lucky. The rest? That goes to the factory owner. Marx looked at this and said, hold up. You're doing the work. Why are they making the money? This is the core of his labor theory of value. The idea that workers create all the value, but capitalists pocket the profits. To him, this wasn't a bug in the system, it was the system. Marx argued that capitalism is built on exploitation. The working class sells their labor to survive, while the capitalist class gets rich off it. And as inequality grows, so does tension, until eventually, the workers rise up, overthrow the system, and build something new. In Marx's vision, this would lead to a classless, stateless society where production is shared Wealth is distributed fairly, and no one's stuck working 12-hour shifts just to keep someone else's yacht clean. Modern communism, inspired by Marx, has been tried in countries like the Soviet Union, Cuba, and China. But critics argue that instead of making things fair, it just swapped rich business owners for powerful politicians, and the dream of sharing power got lost somewhere between the prison camps and the food lines. Still, Marx's ideas are important because they make us think about inequality and how power is shared in society. He gave us a new way to look at the world. Also, he probably started more heated group chats than anyone in history. Game theory. What do nuclear war, dating apps, and gas stations have in common? Game theory explains it all, with math and paranoia. Game theory sounds like something you'd study to win Monopoly. But it's actually one of the most powerful tools in economics, and it's used everywhere, from global politics to your local pizza shop. Let's say you and your friend get caught sneaking snacks into class. You're in separate rooms. The principal says, if you both stay quiet, you each get 1 week of detention. But if one of you snitches while the other stays quiet, the snitch goes free and the quiet one gets 3 weeks. If both snitch, you each get 2 weeks. What do? This is the prisoner's dilemma, game theory's most famous example. Logically, you'd both stay quiet. But if you don't trust your friend, you snitch. They do the same. Boom, 2 weeks each. A classic lose-lose. Game theory is all about decisions where your outcome depends on someone else's, and trust can wreck the math. Take 2 rival pizza shops, Pizza King and Slice Brothers. They're deciding whether to sell their pies for $10 or $12. If both charge $10, they split the customers but make less per sale. If one charges $10 and the other $12, the cheaper one wins. If both charge $12, they split the market and make more money. But here's the trap. If either raises their price while the other stays low, they lose customers. If both drop to $10, profits shrink. So they both stick with $10, not because it's ideal, but because changing first means losing. That's the Nash equilibrium, named after John Nash, the genius behind A Beautiful Mind. It's the point where everyone settles on a strategy because changing it alone would only make things worse. From price wars and auctions to nuclear standoffs and awkward group chats, game theory is everywhere. Supply-side economics. This one starts with the rich and claims it ends with helping everyone. Imagine you have a lemonade stand. You're good at making lemonade, but what if your lemonade stand is paying high taxes and you have to follow a ton of rules? That could be discouraging. Now, imagine if the government said, hey, we'll lower your taxes and make fewer rules for your stand. You can keep more of your earnings and grow your business. Cue the lemonade empire. That's the basic idea behind supply-side economics. Developed during the 1980s under President Ronald Reagan, it argues that if you cut taxes for businesses and rich people, they will have more money to invest in their businesses. This will create jobs, boost the economy, and help everyone. Think of it like this. The more the lemonade stand owner can save, the more they can buy new supplies, hire a helper, and expand their business. If the lemonade stand owner gets richer, they can buy more lemons from the farmer, and that helps everyone else in the economy too. Critics of supply-side economics say that the rich often don't invest in the way the theory expects. Instead of hiring more people or building bigger lemonade stands, they might just save their extra money or invest in stocks. But the idea remains popular, especially among those who believe cutting taxes leads to more growth. Behavioral economics. What if most of economics is wrong because it assumes we're rational? Let's be honest, we've all probably made at least one questionable purchase. Maybe it was a $70 water bottle because it was aesthetic, or 5 extra items just to hit free shipping. We've all done it. Why? Because humans aren't logic machines. We're emotional, impulsive, and easily swayed by shiny buttons and limited time offer signs. Traditional economics assumes we're perfectly rational, always calculating, always optimizing. Behavioral economics says, yeah, no. Take loss aversion. Losing $10 hurts more than gaining $10 feels good. That's why stores say save $20 today, instead of only $80. That's the framing effect. Same fact, different emotional punch. Then there's anchoring. Walk into a store, see a t-shirt for $100. You scoff. Then spot another for $35, and suddenly it feels like a steal, even if it's still overpriced. Your brain used the $100 as the reference point, even though it was ridiculous. Now toss in choice overload. Ever spend 45 minutes scrolling Netflix, overwhelmed by options, only to rewatch The Office for the sixth time? Too many choices paralyze us. Behavioral economists study that, too, how we freeze, flinch, and panic by 40 rolls of toilet paper when the world feels unstable. And don't forget present bias. It's why we eat the cookie now and start the diet next Monday. We overvalue instant rewards and downplay future consequences, even when it costs us. Governments have caught on. In the UK, workers are auto-enrolled into pension plans. Why? Because people rarely take the extra step to opt in. It's called a default nudge, a subtle push that leads to massive change. Behavioral economists like Richard Thaler, who won a Nobel Prize for this, showed that tiny tweaks in design, how choices are presented, what's default, can reshape entire systems. So the next time you impulse buy something weird at 2 a.m., just remember, you're not dumb. You're just a beautifully irrational human. And a textbook case study.